high energy cost. Do you know that today 37% of the energy that is used by your data center is for the air conditioning? There's a lot of different solutions out in the market today that will help you reduce the energy cost in your data center. Today we'll talk about a couple of the commercial solutions and some other things you can do in your data center to help reduce this energy cost. And the two systems we're talking about today, one is a hot aisle containment system and the other is an overhead venting system. In the hot aisle containment system, this is a system that the one that we're looking at here has 16 equipment racks and has 6 air conditioning in-rack systems. The way the system is set up, the servers will be installed to where the intake of the server is in facing the outer section of the rack, and the hot air or the exhaust of the computer will be inputted into this area between the two rows of rack. This is called the hot aisle. The hot air within this aisle will be the intakes to the back of the air conditioning units. They will intake this hot air and they use a water chill system to cool the hot air and blow cool air out the front of the system. The system is not shown with a roof or in units, but they are included to block or contain the hot air within that aisle. This containment system can be kept on a solid concrete foundation, does not require a raised floor. The power cables and the networking cables that the servers require run along the top of the racks and across the rows in between the two systems. One of the issues with the system here also is that it does use chilled water. If your chilled water system for your data center has extra capacity, then installing these will be no issue. But if you don't have the capacity, then there will be additional cost of installing a chilled water system to meet the requirements of this system. The other system that we're talking about is an overhead venting system. In this system we are using what's called the hot aisle, cold aisle type configuration, where the servers that take air on one side and they exhaust into a central aisle between the two rows of racks. And in this system we have a venting system that will be located above the rack structures. They do have fans and they will intake the hot air in the row and move it down and blow it into what's called a crack unit, which is your computer room air conditioners. And they will cool this air and blow it underneath the raised floor. And there's a section in the drawing that shows where they block underneath the floor the hot and the cold out to keep them separated. On this system, one of the things you have to be careful of is that this sits above the racks. If your data center has a low ceiling, there could be an issue with trying to install this type of system in your data center. Some of the other methods that you can use in your data center, besides the commercial variations, is to look at the servers that you have in your data center. Those that are old and obsolete, it's time to do a refresh. Look at new systems that are coming out in the market that are running with a lot cooler components or have their own cooling within the system itself to help reduce the amount of heat that is generated. One of the other things we would like to do is that in the racks where you're installing servers, be sure that you leave no blanks between your servers, or if you do, install a blanking panel. A blanking panel will block the hot air from the exhaust or from the hot aisle from coming back through the rack and coming to the intake of the system. Another feature that we can do to help our data center with its cooling is to ensure in our hot and cold aisle configuration that you use to make sure that the venting tiles are in the front of the rack to vent the cold air up into the front. Ensure that you don't use venting tiles in your hot aisle. So in conclusion, there is multiple ways that you can do the different systems that you can use. One of the things you'll need to look for though, or one of the points, is the cost. This system does provide good efficiency. It will save you approximately 10% per year. If your data center has an energy bill of $1 million a year as an example, this will give you around 10% savings, or around $100,000 a year. But each of the containment systems cost around $750,000. If you have a large data center that, say, has 48 racks, you would need 3 of these containment systems to come into your data center. And there is a very high cost in doing that. And it was difficult on getting your cost savings. On the overhead venting system, they're not quite as efficient. You'll probably save around 5% estimated, and that will be, the cost of these for an average size center is around $100,000. So you should be able to recover your savings within approximately 2 years. So which do we use? It all depends. If you have new high density systems you're bringing in, maybe you'll need to look at one of these as something new, not to retrofit what you've got current, but for your newer systems that are generating a lot of heat. The overhead venting system is very good for moving the air and giving better efficiency for your crack units. Also, the other things we talked about that you can do are very efficient for reducing the energy load in your data center. The blanking panels, newer servers, the cooling, these are the things that you can implement at fairly low cost. Do we have some questions?
Will the overhead venting system require the installation of new plumbing?
The overhead venting system will only require electrical power to run the fans to move the air. The plumbing is only needed for where you have chilled water needed for the additional cooling.
How does the term green IT relate to your discussion?
Green IT is a term where companies are responsible for trying to control their impact on the environment. These solutions do help you reduce the impact or the heat that you're putting out into the environment. So the better, the more efficient that you can do your work, the less impact on the environment.
What will be the cost in the other methods you mentioned?
The other methods will be for doing the blanking panels and doing the tile rearrangements and your venting systems. It is very slow, be very small cost. That's probably your most bang for the buck, let's say, the most economical way is to do some of those functions to give you better cost savings on your energy. Thank you.